occasion of our anniversary as the people of God of Notre Dame, before Father Ed and myself share a dialogue homily, I would like the elders in the procession to please stand for a moment, our applause. The elders of our community, please stand. Thank you, dear elders. Thank you so very much. Elders of wisdom, elders of service, and elders of love. Thank you. On this day, as we celebrate this 50th anniversary, this golden anniversary, our foundations in Christ, our foundations as community in Christ, our foundations as living the teachings of Christ in the Catholic tradition, for the last 50 years, there is so much that we can share on this occasion. An historic day. A day that really gives us our identity. A day when we give God abundant thanks for all the years that have gone by, and we look with joy into the future. That we are a church of the past, we are a church of the present, and we are indeed a church of the future, living the gospel, hoping to communicate that gospel in an effective manner to other people who live with us, who are in our families, our friends, our neighbors. We are followers of Christ in the 21st century. It is indeed a great pleasure to now ask Father Ed to continue, the Pastor Emeritus of this community, who led us so very beautifully for 22 years.
Microphone like this, it reminds me of the first time we got one. When Father Charlie Christel, God rest his soul, when he picked it up, he looked around and with his inimitable smile says, "I like this." He says, "Every time I'm going to use it, it's going to make me feel like Franz now." Father Anthony mentioned the past and the future. He and I are totally unrehearsed about our words, but what he did in the afternoon garage was exactly what I was going to do. And he touched about the future. I'd like to go a little bit into the past. Not that I was here 50 years ago, but it's so good that you are here, because it's such a privilege and an honor to be here for all of us, because we're celebrating this day 50 years ago, but we can't fully appreciate what happened 50 years ago. And it just reminds us that as so many other instances, whether it's a family, whether it's a community, that it's a matter of growth. And this growth is very evident in this community. When I think in terms of, even as I look around, I think of so many people whose spouses are not here today, who would have very much enjoyed this day and who are very much responsible for this day. And so when I think of certain people, I think we also have to mention people like Father John Murphy, who in his own quiet and memorable way gathered a group of people and got this foundation off the ground. People like Father Bonelli, Pete Cotillo. There are a host of others. There was a Stanley Just and a J.J. Riley and a Bill McGuire and Father Jeff Behrens. Maybe he was the time that he spent here at Notre had him go to a Trappist monastery. I don't know if there's any connection. But not only do we have the leaders and priests of the community, but most of all, it's the people. It's the people like yourselves. And I know if there were time, I could probably say a word about each of you, but just very quickly as I thought, because you, so many of you, represented what took place over those first 25 years. I'm just going to comment on the two bookends here that I see before me, because it's always dangerous to try to pick out names. But as I look at the pastoral here, Lou and Rose, Rose, how many times do you have cleaned that window in the back, in the children's room? And how many times both of you came in on Thursdays, changed the flowers under the Sacred Heart statue, consistently. Good days, bad days, sunshine, rain, snow. You were here, opened it up, always sure that that room was going to be clean. And those complained about the children and they the toys around, but you were here. And on the other side, the other bookends, I think of Frank and Lee Rubino. When I came here, somebody said to me from another parish, this guy by the name of Frank Rubino, who's at Notre Dame, he's a good guy. And he is, and he has been a good guy, who has given himself in so many different ways. I could tell you many stories. One that kind of stands out in my mind. And everybody remembers The Sopranos? Well, they used to film around here in this area, and they used our Charlie's place. They used it as a cafeteria. They used it as a dressing room, so they were there often. And there were different contacts with the parish. They wanted to have a funeral here. They wanted to have a wedding here. And I remember I had mentioned that to Frank. And Frank said, you know, if you don't mind my saying, don't let that happen. I don't want that to happen in terms of my church and my culture, my background. And I just thought to myself, but I just thought to myself that this man has soul. He cares about his parish, and it's evident in so many different ways. And his lovely wife, Lee, when I think, probably more than 2,000 baptismal robes that she sewed, nice little blue lining cloth, and maybe many of you have those baptismal robes in your homes, and they just used to appear miraculously. They would be used. So I'm just mentioning that both of you, and I apologize because I could go through so many others as I look around. People who, on whose backs you provided the foundation, was on your backs, on your care, on your love, and your commitment to this parish, and was able to grow, and to grow beautifully over these years. And I think we really have to acknowledge that for those who are no more with us, for those who are still here, our profound thanks.
It's good that Father mentioned Father John Murphy, as you can see, and we have an open chair there. For some reason, it just happened. And maybe that does represent the person who was the founder, Father John Murphy, and it represents maybe a Father Charlie Christel, and all those people who would love to be here on this day, but have been called home to God. We know that in a community As Father Ed just did with us, you can share multiple stories. And how all these stories, they weave together. That's the very purpose why Nancy Busby and Ruth Cheever processed in with this quilt. It was done by a group of quilters. It's weaving stories and times together. Because as a community, a committed community, a community doesn't come into 5 decades of life without a deep commitment. A commitment that begins for us in the waters of baptism. A commitment that comes from parents and godparents, that this message of Christ, the narrative of the gospel, will be carried forward from one generation to the next. This is not magic. This is not about something just haphazardly occurring in this part of West Essex for 5 decades. This is about the life of spirit that moves and dances within the souls of so many people who begin to see that following Christ is about a way of life. It is a story and a practice. And that we practice in a Catholic tradition that gives to us a history, that gives to us sacraments, that gives to us devotions, that gives to us all the components of a rich faith experience. We are a committed people, or none of us would be here today. And we want this to go on. We want our traditions to go on. We want all that we celebrate in Christ's name to have an impact on the future. We want these teachings of Christ on love, on forgiveness, on reconciliation, on peacemaking. We want those teachings to be real for people. We want to live as the people of God in a contemporary culture with all its complexity. We are people that want to engage in dialogue. We want to engage the sciences. We want to be people who engage other authorities, the civic authorities, because we are about the good of humankind. You can never measure the good that has been done in this community by people for generations. The tally can never adequately be summarized. The amount of meals that have been served in the soup kitchen, the amount of time that people have spent in all forms of outreach ministry to make sure that people have felt that they were indeed a child of God. Just a few weeks ago, we did what we do as a community. We housed the homeless. We have done actions in this community that say this is who we are. We are about the gospel message today. And we'll live that gospel message faithfully and in commitment to one another, in commitment to God, and in this rich, historical Catholic tradition.